Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well and I hope that you have a wonderful day. I'm here to do an intuitive card reading to see what insights, guidance, and messages the universe has for us, especially in regards to tapping into the power of our imagination, being open to the possibilities and our potential, making the most of the inner power that we have that we can often, unintentionally give away or not recognize is there. So let's take a look at the cards and see what the universe wants us to know. Okay. We have soul healing. Align with your essence, see your true colors. That's the thing, a lot of times, whether we are conscious of it or not, we end up trying to conform. We try to put ourselves in these little boxes, these tight squeezes, color within the lines, just so other people are, satisfied and appeased, and, then we feel like we belong. But if we were meant to be like everyone else, we would have naturally been born that way. That's not to say that we don't have any similarities to everybody else, but we also have our differences, and these differences are where we can shine, because not everyone is going to have the same strengths. Everyone will have strengths. Everyone will have areas of weakness, areas for growth, but it's different for different people, which is why we do better when we work together instead of seeing each other as enemies. But the universe is asking you to get in alignment with your true self, to be authentic, to be genuine, to be real, to let your true colors shine, to see yourself for who you truly are. And that means acknowledging, where you still can improve, but also recognizing where you already shine, where you already have strengths, and to utilize that to your benefit. Just because you struggle in one area doesn't mean that you're, some failure that's no good at anything and can never do anything right. It's like, no, you struggle in that one area. That may be true, but you excel in other areas. So it's time to get in alignment. What resonates with you? What feels right? And how can you use your imagination to unlock doors of opportunity for yourself? Because so often we use our imagination to our detriment. We envision all these worst case scenarios, all these, negative what ifs, like, oh, what if this happens? And then what if that happens? And then everything starts falling apart, and, all this, that, and the other. Like, my dad has told me that he actively expects the worst so he can never be disappointed. Sure, it's important to, be grounded and be aware of the things that are happening, and, not to just blindly trust people, because there are people out there who will, use your trust against you and harm you. But that doesn't mean everyone is. So use your discernment on who to trust. Use your discernment as you're going about life, but also be open to the possibilities. Use your imagination to be like, what if the best happens? What if the universe is working everything out in my favor? What if I have the greatest day today? What if I have fun today? Like, use your imagination to your benefit. If you're struggling with something, you're having a frustrating day, and, maybe emotions are running high, or you've been dealing with all these irritating people, whatever it is, like, play the what if game. It was like, what if I do something to lift my spirits? What if I do something fun? What if I treat myself? What if I do something to, bring a little bit of ease and relaxation and peace into my life, You don't need to make things harder on yourself. You don't need to keep going down these negative spirals and loops with the narratives that we tell ourselves. We can align with who we truly are, and deep down, the essence of our souls is love. It's love. And so see if you can get more in alignment with that. See if you can get more in alignment with that and use your imagination to help you. Because you have beautiful colors. Your true colors are beautiful. There's a reason you were made this way. The universe has a purpose for you. Be a beacon. Be an inspiration. Light the way for others. That's the thing. there are probably a number of you who are fellow black sheep and potentially fellow scapegoats. I happen to be both. Like, my family members, man, like, they're something. But the thing is, I genuinely feel like so many of us were born into all these tough situations with family members who are very much kind of status quo. Life is hard, it just sucks, you just gotta suck it up, you just gotta deal with it, that's just the way it is, kind of thing. And the reason we were born into these families is to show them that there's another way. Not to, beat them over the head and like try to convert them, but just naturally by being who we are, by shining our true colors, by tapping into our, light of our soul, our true essence, we will naturally be the beacon that lights the way for them. We illuminate that there are other paths that they can take. Now, whether or not other people choose to take them, that is their choice. That is between them and their maker. Like, we don't have control over that. All we have control over is how we choose to show up in the world. All we have control over is, what we choose to tell ourselves, who we choose to associate with, what we choose to give our energy to. So, just by being your natural self, you can be a powerful inspiration. You can be that lighthouse in the dark, because not that the whole world is dark, that's not what I'm saying, but overall in society in modern day, like, there's a lot of darkness out there, and people just kind of blindly accept that that's just the way it is. It's just, normal to backstab people and betray them and to use them like tools and to lie to their face and do smear campaigns and start all these rumors. That's just how it is. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. So yeah, like, you can also be an inspiration, because if you're like me, you tend to have fun. You tend to use your imagination for fun and think about all the possibilities instead of, being limited and like, oh, you're not being realistic. Like, I can trigger people so bad, and I'm not even trying to. Like, kids and animals just naturally come to me, and I'll play games with the kids and I'll be having a blast, and then I'll get judgments from people. Like, I remember when I was in college, my ceramics teacher, she's like, you're just a really big kid. And I was just like, I like what I like, because she, like, I don't remember what it was, but and it somehow ended up talking about How to Train Your Dragon, maybe because her young daughter liked it. She's like, you're just like my daughter. I'm like, what's wrong with liking something? If if you're not harming somebody, if you're not trying to force other people to conform and, like what you like or do what you do, why is that a problem to like something, to be passionate, to be excited, to enjoy it? It just never made sense to me. They're like, oh, that's just childish. You need to grow up. And it's like, you want me to be a stick in the mud, to have no fun, to be miserable? No thanks. Like, I deal with enough as it is. I'm gonna choose to be, more lighthearted, to have more fun, to have more joy, to have more peace. And, just by being yourself, you can be the beacon that lights the way. So, yeah, you don't need to worry. Just getting in alignment and being true to yourself is more than enough. You don't have to go and quote unquote, like, be a hero and quote unquote save everyone. No, that's not your job. It's not your job to save everyone. Everyone has their own timing. Everyone has their own process. They have their own path to walk. They make their own choices. They have to deal with the consequences. That's between them and their maker. You just focus on you and being the best version of you that you can be. Heal yourself, embrace the light, embrace the love. Yep. Unicorn portal. Focus your light. Listen for a message. And that's the thing. If you are focusing on love and light and laughter, you are focusing on getting in alignment, on tapping into your true essence, to shine your colors, you're going to be opening yourself up to be able to communicate and listen to the messages of the universe, because the universe is always talking to us. It's always communicating with us. It's always giving us signs and insights and guidance. But so often, people are so caught up in the mental chatter and, the external world, and they're rushing around from this and that and the other, and You know, they're being like a chicken with its head cut off and they're all stressed out. You can't hear and see clearly when you're in that kind of frazzled, frantic, emotional state. It's just not going to happen. Like, you can't even accurately see and hear those around you when you're in that state. You're just more, likely to get triggered and have those emotional explosions. So if you can, focus on the light, focus on love, as Uncle Ira says, if you look for the light, you can often find it, but if you look for the dark, that's all you ever see. So if you're, looking for the bright side, looking for silver linings, not in the sense that you are, sidestepping reality and pretending things aren't there, sweeping things on the road, not in that regard. Like, you can acknowledge reality, but then also be like, yeah, no, I'm meant for more. Like, I'm trying to figure out and, like, get help with the universe and the divine on how to, get away from my family. Not that I hate them, but, like, I'm meant for more than this. I'm meant to be around people who actually uplift me, that aren't so negative and toxic all the time. Like, I kid you not trying to, like, rant and, like, complain and be like, these people are horrible, but, like, a statement of facts, like, they are so negative. They focus on the negative. They don't have gratitude. And so, recently I made my mom those cinnamon roll pancakes that she didn't expect for. No gratitude. And, when she was getting ready to rant and go on all the horrible things, I was like, oh no, tell the good news to my dad. And then she goes on this whole onslaught of bad news. And I was like, that's not good news. And she's like, I thought that's what you meant. I was like, no, I said the good news. I, like, seriously meant that. And she's like, oh yeah, she made me pancakes, and, like, went back to her onslaught of negativity. I'm like, really? You have something good? I made you lunch? Like, really? And on the one hand, it's not surprising because that's just how they are. But then also, it happened with my dad. Because, Father's Day, and so I got him a gift. He loves Spider-Man, so I got him a Spider-Man clock because he wants to have all sorts of Spider-Man stuff. And I also got him a Spider-Man, like, car sun visor thing, sunshade reflector thing, because it's gonna get really, really hot here. And I was like, you know what? This way he'll have Spider-Man, he loves Spider-Man, and also help, keep his car cooler, all this. There was no gratitude. And so I'm just like, you guys, like, I don't expect, like, over-the-top appreciation, and I don't do it because it's like, oh, I want something out of you or I'm obligated. I, like, genuinely want to do kind things. But it's hard when you're just around the negativity all the time and you try to do kind things, you try to bring in some light and love to the situation, and they just still keep choosing the dark. They still keep choosing the negative, and it's like, man. And so, yeah, I've been trying to, be open to the universe's guidance to help myself get out of this and, use my imagination for what life is actually meant to be like, having actual people around me who are uplifting, who are grateful, who are caring and loving, because my family can have redeeming qualities, but, like, overall, it's a very cold, sterile, disconnected, like, very just, like, disjuncted, like, dysfunctional environment where people don't greet each other. Like, they're on their devices a lot, they're not really talking to one another. If they are, it's usually just ranting and complaining, and I'm just like how they'll purposely try to rile each other up and, like, start feuds and drama. It's like, this isn't family. Like, this isn't, like, what family's supposed to be, like, at the heart of the matter. And it's just like, sadly, this is what a lot of people get. Not everyone, because it blew my mind when I actually saw some families who actually had healthier dynamics. I'm like, oh, this is what family can be like. Oh my goodness. But yeah, like, you can bring in the light. You can use your imagination to your benefit. You don't have to, focus on quote unquote being realistic and be like, well, that's just the way it is. It's like, okay, so maybe that is how it is currently. Maybe that is the kind of choices people are making. But that doesn't mean it has to be that way forever, or that it's even healthy, because just because something's normal doesn't mean it's healthy or that's the way it should be. Just saying. And so the universe is going to be sending you messages if you're open and, have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. But life can be tricky, and a lot of times we can use our imagination for the worst, but the universe is wanting us to, choose to act from a higher place. Not that we can't slip up as humans, but cosmic sapphire, act with honor and integrity, speak your truth. And this can be a tricky thing if you're like in situations like mine, because you can get attacked for speaking the truth, not even in a mean way. Like, you could just be gentle and just like making observations and stating facts. Like, I couldn't tell you how many times where my mom will drop something, I'll just notice it and I'll try to point out to be like, hey, you dropped that, and she'll start yelling at me, no I didn't. And I was like, I mean, it's right there on the floor, like it's at your feet. I just want to let you know I didn't drop anything. What are you talking about? And it's like, we're both looking at it. It's right in front of you. I didn't drop anything. Okay then, if that's what the game you want to play, I guess. Like, and it can be really tricky when you cross paths with a lot of people like that. Like, I remember what happened with the toxic group of the narcissist. People kept telling me to be petty back to them. They kept telling me that the people deserved it. They were being really horrible and hurtful and just awful, and they deserved to have fire brought back to them. And to a certain point, I got what they meant, because, you don't want to let people think that unacceptable behavior is acceptable and that they can treat other people like that. But I didn't want to lower myself to their level. I didn't want to play their games and get covered in mud and whatever filth, energetically speaking, was there, because they were literally throwing mud and all this horribleness. And I wanted to make choices that I could be proud of and do my best to live with integrity and come from a place of peace and truth and love and kindness and respect. And I knew if I was petty, if I started, shots fired back at them, like, it was just going to get into a bigger and bigger mess. And so, I had the door open. I gave them chances to, meet me halfway, to have open, honest, respectful communication, to try to have a peaceful resolution, and they weren't interested in it. It's like, okay, then I walk away. And then they try to play victim and cry about how I wasn't being fair and I was just being crazy and all these things, and it's just like, no. And then I blocked them. I was like, listen, I am willing to give grace, I am willing to be open, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt and forgive and all that, but I'm not forgetting what you did. And I'm also not going to tolerate it. I was very direct with you. I wasn't rude. I was very, peaceful and kind and respectful. But I also was having those healthy boundaries. And it's like, no, you're not going to do that to me. You think you can play those games? Well, you can try, but it ain't going to be with me. So yeah, it's just, we got to be able to speak the truth. And not everyone's going to handle that well. Some people are going to get really riled up, and they might have those, emotionally volatile explosions, because you, being in that energy of integrity, of truth, healthy boundaries, just love and respect, like, they're used to getting their way a lot of times, and you just being that light, it shines the light on their inner darkness, their shadows that they don't want to look at. And so instead of, tending to their own internal mess, instead of dealing with their pain, their trauma, whatever it is, their emotions, they'd rather lash out at you and point fingers and say you're the problem, blame you, scapegoat you, because then they don't have to do anything, because the quote-unquote problem is external, it's outside of them, so then it's not their problem to deal with. You clean up the mess because it's obviously your mess. And so, yeah, it can be tricky, but we got to do our best to be, coming from a place of integrity, because at the end of the day, it's our life to make, and People are going to make their choices. And even if, it doesn't align with us, even if they're choosing something that's, pretty messy energy to deal with, it's like that they're going to have natural consequences, and that's between them and their maker. It's not up to me to come down and like punish everybody and be like, you're a horrible person, you're a villain, you're a monster. It's like, no, that's not why I'm here. I'll give space to people, I'll give them chances, but if you're not going to treat me right, it's like, no. But then also, I'm going to choose how I show up in this world, and I'm going to choose to be an actor of peace, an actor of love, an actor of kindness. And if that's gonna, make me a bad guy, it's like, well, it says more about you than me, It says more about them than it does me. Shine love on fear. Love will light up the darkness. That's the thing. And sometimes that's what gets the people to fight and just go into fight or flight mode because they feel threatened, because you're shining the light on their dark and they don't want to look at it. They don't want to look at it. And it brings up, these feelings they don't want to feel inside, and so they blame you. But at the end of the day, walk your own journey. It's essential to stay on your own path. That's the thing. Get in alignment with yourself. Do what resonates with you. Use your imagination to think of your dream life and take steps to make it happen. Co-create with the universe. Go with the flow. You don't have to do it all on your own. But stay on your own path, because you're not meant to be someone else. You don't have to fit into their boxes and color within their lines. Like, that's not meant for you. That's meant for them. They got to figure out their own path. You do you, Yep. Explore, love, create. The only thing that holds you back is you. Yeah, like if you look at my family, they're the ones holding themselves back. I mean, I've held myself back before because of limiting beliefs that were instilled in me from other people, but it's just like, whether I knew it or not, and I didn't know it at the time because, young and all that, but I ended up giving my power away. I ended up subscribing to, things that weren't true, but seemed true because I saw all this evidence around me based on, what my family was doing. And so we gotta be open. We gotta trust. We gotta get curious. We gotta have fun. We gotta learn to explore again and, use our imaginations to help us expand, to learn, to grow, to improve, to love life and to savor the journey, Yep. Let it out, let it flow. Open up the heart to feel. And sometimes that's not a fun experience because you feel some icky emotions that can be pretty intense, pretty painful. But, if you're always sweeping it under the rug, if you're always sidestepping, if you're always pretending it's not there, slapping a fake smile on your face, like everything's great, it's just going to keep getting bottled up, and, the pressure's going to keep building and building and building until you can't hold it back anymore. So it's better to let it out, to let it flow, not always right in the moment, because it might not be the best time. Sometimes it's, better to take a step back, to breathe, to process, to get, thoughts and feelings sorted out a bit before, sometimes you communicate with other people. But you don't want to just let it sit and fester for years and years and years. It's not going to do you any good. You don't want to be emotionally constipated, so to speak, Yeah. Believe in your power to manifest. Breathe your creation into existence. That's the thing. That's why the universe is emphasizing the importance of the imagination right now. Because the mind doesn't know the difference between imagined and real. So if you can feel it in your heart and soul that something is real, that is meant for you, that you believe with no doubt that it's yours, then it will be. It may not come into your existence right here, right now, this very hot second, but it will come to you. The universe will work it all out. It will make sure all the components at play are working in your favor. And if you are struggling to believe, the universe still knows what's meant for you, so it's going to keep working things out in your benefit. It just may be a little bit of a detoured path. It may take a little bit, it might be a little bit prolonged, but it's still going to make its way to you. So you can make it come into existence. You can speak things into existence, literally. Yeah. The crow magic, like, you literally have the magic inside of you. You are the divine incarnate. You are the divine having a human experience. You are connected to all that is. The universe knows everything at play. You can tune in to the universe. You can reconnect to the universe. You can get in alignment and have the magic flow through you. You can literally speak and breathe things into existence. You know? Yeah. The butterfly evolution, you can use your imagination to your benefit to help you evolve, to help you get to the next level, to help bring your desired dreams and reality into existence. That's why things like vision boards can work. That's why things like guided meditations can work. That's why, those positive affirmations where you tell yourself something over and over and over again becomes reality. So use your imagination to your benefit. You can use your imagination to open up those doors of possibility. Truly. And it'll lead to your freedom. Eagle, you will truly be able to soar. But you got to be open to it. You got to trust. You got to believe. You got to have faith. You can't close yourself off. You can't use your imagination to think of all these negative scenarios and go down those negative downward spirals with those narratives and think that all these horrible things are going to happen to you. Well, that's what you're going to manifest into your reality. It'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's what happens with my family all the time. They're always going on about how everything is, falling apart and nothing ever works for them. Everything always goes wrong. And, that's what they're focusing on. Those are the seeds that they're planting and watering every day. So, unsurprisingly, that's the harvest that they reap. You reap what you sow. The energy you put out into the world comes back to you. So why not use it for your benefit? Why not use it to help you get your freedom? Use that magic. Funnily enough, eagle again. You are learning all aspects of spiritual connection and reaching new heights. That's the thing. You are learning to soar. You are reaching new heights. You are achieving freedom. You're achieving freedom. And I also find it interesting and kind of funny how all of these last 4 cards, they all are ones with wings. They all are achievable. They can all achieve flight. They can soar into the sky. They're not bound and tethered to the earth. And it just very much feels like all the possibility and potential that the imagination allows us, versus all the people who are get into the mindset and mentality of people like my family where it's oh, that's just, I'm just being realistic. That's just how it is. It sucks. It's you're literally chaining yourself down to the ground. You're not letting yourself reach the great heights that you can because of your beliefs, We have Meadowlark. Smile. You will soon experience a wonderful journey of inner discovery. Yeah. You're evolving. You are unlocking all this potential. You're using your imagination to your benefit, and it's going to be such a beautiful journey for you. You're going to be able to shine your true colors. You're going to be able to be the light in the darkness and bring love to the situation, just by walking your own path, just by being in alignment with yourself. Finch, new opportunities and choices are opening to you now. Claim them. Yeah. You're tapping into the magic. You are breathing things into existence, speaking them into existence. And you're allowing yourself to shine. May you be a lighthouse. That's the thing. The universe wants you to be the lighthouse. You can be the inspiration to other people. You can light the way for them just by being yourself. You don't have to do anything special, just by being yourself. By being yourself, by getting in alignment, by tapping into who you truly are, you're going to have more meaningful conversations. You're going to be able to say the right things at the right time because the divine is using you as a conduit, is flowing through you, is working its magic through you. So you don't have to do anything special. You don't. Yeah. Play. May you seek out fun and connection. That's the thing. Think about how much more meaningful interactions are when you're coming from a lighthearted place, when you're coming from a place of fun, enjoyment, play, lightheartedness, laughter, love, light. Like, you're able to have such meaningful connections. You feel alive. But if you're coming from a place, of fear, doubt, insecurity, worry, like all this negativity, you feel so much restricted. You feel so close off. It feels doom and gloom. And the universe is letting you know it doesn't have to be that way. You can use your imagination, like with all sorts of people, in your work, in your family life, like home life, friendships, all of it. You can bring more play into the situation. You can bring your imagination into the situation. It doesn't have to be so hard. It doesn't have to be so rigid and, dark. It just feels so dark a lot of the times, Yeah, joy. May you pursue what lights you up. That's the thing. We don't have to keep conforming. We don't have to keep selling ourselves out. So many of us end up unintentionally selling our soul, so to speak, because we are, agreeing to, like, okay, I gotta work in this job I hate. Okay, I gotta do all this overtime. Okay, I gotta be, rushing around and barely have time to, do anything for myself and like to have meaningful connections with other people because I'm just always so busy. And then, you have to take care of the house and all these things. Like, you can bring more joy and levity to the situation. You can bring more play. You can bring more fun. Like, okay, sure, you still have chores you have to do around the house. Is there a way that you can lighten them up? Is there a way that you can bring in more joy and fun and play? Can you turn it into a game? Can you use your imagination while you're doing the chores? I mean, I'm going to be honest. That's how I survived school. Like, I'm not stupid. Like, I got good grades through school, but it felt really chaotic and overwhelming and kind of like a prison. Like, you weren't allowed to do much of anything. They were always like, this is how it is. It was very rigid, very like, you can't go outside the lines. And so I'd often be doodling in the sides of my papers as I took notes. I'd often be in, daydreaming. Still paid attention, still got good grades. But it's because I brought more joy through daydreaming in that I was able to survive that place. Because, oh my goodness, guys, like, it's one of the better schools in the state, but it was not for me at all. And my mom makes comments about how, like, I would have, like, thrived in homeschooling, like, or online schooling, but my other siblings, like, she's like, two of them for sure would not have done well at all. They probably wouldn't have never ever done their work. But yeah, like, see what you can do to bring more joy into things, to use your imagination to lighten things up, to have more joy, to have more play, to have more fun. Because life is meant to be enjoyed. You're meant to savor the ride. It shouldn't be all doom and gloom, Shouldn't be all doom and gloom. Yeah, tower, solid foundation, success with effort. That's the thing. Because you're putting love, peace, light, fun, joy, play, freedom, magic, alignment, authenticity, integrity, truth, honesty, creativity, exploration, curiosity, as having all that kind of stuff as your foundation, that's what's going to guarantee your success. It's because you're staying true to yourself. It's because you're not trying to be someone else. That's what's guaranteeing your success right now. You're walking your own journey, and it's working wonders, It's working wonders. So we have tent. Temporary situation. Yeah, that's the thing with things like fear and doubt and insecurity and, the storms of life and the conflicts that can, appear and be bumps in the road. It's temporary. It'll pass, which is why the universe is encouraging you to shine love on fear, because love lights up the darkness. The night always, yields to the dawn, to the daybreak. So it's going to pass. It's going to be okay. Yeah. Harp, great happiness. Like, if you are being open to explore, to love, to create, to have curiosity, to, try new things, to not hold yourself back, to just get in alignment. And if you feel something in your soul, if it resonates, it just feels like energetically this is the green light, even if you don't know all the ifs, ands, or buts, and like all the like how to make it all work out. If you can follow your heart and follow your soul and get into that alignment, you're gonna have great happiness. You're gonna have great happiness. But you gotta let the things flow. It's gonna be okay. You are allowed to be human. You're allowed to have bad days. You're allowed to not always be 100% certain and confident in yourself. It's gonna pass, but you gotta let it flow. When you let it flow, you're gonna win big. Money or property through an inheritance, winning or windfall. Like, you're gonna be able to be guided with the universe if you go with the flow, instead of, trying to turn the metaphorical boat around and paddle upstream and force things and fight against the universe. Because think about it. If you're a limited human versus the whole magnificent, almighty, all-powerful, all-knowing, divine, who do you think's gonna win? Who do you think's gonna win? You're just gonna exhaust yourself trying to win that fight. So, choose to go with the flow, to co-create with the universe. Wind chimes. Choose peace and harmony. Believe in your power to manifest. Be at peace. Allow. Accept what is, and know that it will get better. The universe works everything and anything to our benefit, no matter how big or how small, no matter how painful the experience might have been. In the end, we're destined for greatness. In the end, we're going to have it all work out. Yeah, Camel, persevere and you will overcome the problems, because the universe is working its magic for you. It's going to bless you. It's going to protect you. It's going to nurture you. It's going to support you. Persevere. Don't give up. Stay the course. Stay on your authentic path, because you're going to evolve into a greater and greater version of yourself. Yeah, a unicorn. Use your intuition to make beneficial changes. That's the thing. If you stay the course, if you stay true to yourself, get into alignment with your authenticity, shine your true colors, it's going to help you get into those beneficial changes. It's going to help you evolve and reach your freedom, You're going to have a free and prosperous, happy, peaceful life because of what you choose, because of how you use your imagination, because you're having that open mentality instead of a closed, rigid, forceful, controlling mentality. You're working with the universe instead of trying to do it all on your own. And you're choosing to look for the light. You're choosing to look for reasons to be happy. Look for reasons to, be grateful. Look for ways to have more peace in your life, more fun, more play, more freedom, more ways that you can shine, more ways that you can be yourself instead of, holding yourself back or playing small or dimming your light. So yeah, you're going to be doing big things, whether you recognize it or not, because even the smallest act of kindness on your end, you may think it's nothing. It could be life-changing for someone else. So never, sell yourself short. Give yourself more credit. You're doing great. It's okay to be human. We're all the works in progress and the masterpiece at the same time. It's okay. You're doing a great job. So trust, believe, and watch yourself achieve and succeed. I'm wishing you all a wonderful rest of your day. Please take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.